Welcome to this episode of the Friday sessions on Unemployable. Today was a bit of an interesting chat. Obviously, we had a huge event happen last weekend with the crypto markets experiencing the largest crash, flash crash really, in the history of crypto by at least a factor of 10. We went through that, what we learned from that event, what we're hearing from our audience. We also talked about the importance of verifying information that you consume. And I apologize to all of my listeners at the start of this pod for a mistake I made this week. I talked about how difficult it was to apologize because your pride is a real thing, but how it's critical to do that if you're building a personal brand or have any influence at all and have an interest in remaining a trusted voice. We then talked about some of the AI stuff and some investments that Mark and myself have made into AI adjacent companies. And we shared a tip that we shared with everybody 6 months ago on the pod that since we shared that with everybody has gone up 1,200%. So we talk about what that company was, how that explosion happened, and when we first told everybody about it and whether or not we actually took action on it. I talked about my time here in Bali, going to church for the first time in 30 years, and then the next day going to a Bali holy man. And I talked about my experiences of both, got a little bit touchy-feely there and warm and fuzzy. I think you'll find it interesting. And then we talked about, the importance of having mates at these times when your businesses may not be going how you want them to, and you might have had a loss on the last weekend like I did. I lost $380,000 last weekend in one trade. I just talked about the value of friendships, the value of also being in the right place for you. And we talked about south of France and Bali and different parts of the world, how they make you feel, and how when you're assessing where to live and you're thinking about the economics and the math of your life, sometimes you need to also consider the softer components of your life as well and put real value on those. So with that said, I think you'll enjoy this one. Please, if you don't already subscribe to the channel, if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. Please drop us a comment and let us know how this content is impacting you. Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another big ticket today. So much to get through. A lot happening in the world. But first of all, how are you all? You all good? Doing all right, Mark? You good? James?
It was a long weekend. Just you go down a few rabbit holes to work out what happened. For those who don't know, you've been living under a rock. It's in the crypto space.
Yeah, we'll get into it for sure today. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. I feel like at the moment there's a mixture of optimism and excitement and overwhelm is the general feeling at the moment, because there's just so many headlines, there's so many rabbit holes to dive down, and while some are exciting, some are also, worrying, and I just feel like there's just a lot going on at the moment, and it's important. I think it just goes to demonstrate and illustrate the importance of kind of being able to tune into podcasts like this, whether it's us or whether it's people from the US. But I think it's so important at the moment to tune into people who kind of understand the dynamics at play and to learn from them, because I think, we're going through a time where there's a lot of changes at foot. So,
yeah, really more important than ever. The voices that you listen to matter. And I think everyone's going to go into a phase of reducing the voices they listen to, and why the choice of who you follow is so important and going to be something that we have to be getting ever more vigilant about. Eric, how are you, mate? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, just lots on the mind at the moment. Leave to Dubai on Thursday. Obviously finishing one of the developments. Obviously getting a DA, in the next couple of weeks for another one. So there's lots of moving parts with Unemployable, and this is the third pod for the day. So lots happening, plus what's happened over the weekend in the crypto space and the markets. So lots happening, but I look forward to these Friday pods with you guys. I really do. So it's good to recalibrate and see where everybody's at. It's been I think overwhelm is a good word. Overwhelm, just with there's so much information out there right? And everyone's got to be careful where they get their information from, because it is overwhelming when you listen to podcasts and you read a lot of different articles, and there's so many different perspectives. One person says the market's going to crash. The other person says, we're going to keep, going. And when you interview so many different types of people, everyone has a different opinion.
The guy that said the market was going to crash, he was the right one on the weekend.
No, I was going to. Eric, the funny thing is, I can sit here and say I reckon both of those people are right, that it's going to keep going and it's going to crash. It just depends on your time frame, and that's what makes it even more confusing, right? To be able to pass the time frames and things like that. But it looks like you boys had some time to get some sun, James and Eric.
Actually, you know what? It's the lighting in here. We've actually adjusted the light. We've got some videographers that came in and they're testing lighting, and they've actually just dropped the light down. And I've just realized I look very rouge.
I'm going to have to say, I'm working on a new product, Eric, blue light glasses and red light blocking glasses. I have to send you some there. It looks like you're exposed to the sun.
And the other thing probably was I just got off a call with James and somebody else, and a few things got brought to my attention that would have fired me up a little bit. So I think the blood's rushed to my head, and it's probably going to slowly reduce over the hour.
Yeah.
Right.
James, did you have something you want to say?
Oh no, I've just got off my lazy ass and got back out on the walking track every morning again, Mark, and following in your fitness and your health regime. I haven't gone to the full extent of it just yet, as we all were talking about, but the sun on the face is always good.
So guys, let's jump into it. So there's a lot to cover. Obviously, the massive liquidations that affected a lot of our clients is definitely something we want to jump into. And I want to get a couple of things out of the way up front. Definitely get into that first. But I wanted to just highlight, this dangers of information, because I got caught this on Monday. I published a reel that, I have heaps of followers sending me this story about, how they brought in new laws in New South Wales, where if you take a sip of water or coffee or anything at a traffic light, you can get fined $1,500, and they're using AI-enabled cameras to now monitor it and find people. Now, because I am in my Instagram bio, it says freedom maximalist. It's so that sort of shit really riles me up, and I'm super vulnerable to those kinds of stories.
Sorry, didn't see you there. While you're here, actually, we've got a new coaching cohort that just opened up for the Unemployable Property Coaching Program, that you get taught on how to become a property developer. One-on-one coaching, bi-monthly coaching, and also events where we get a full coach bus with all the students and go to 6-7 different development sites. When I say development sites, from 1 lot to 10 lots to 50 lots. So you get to see exactly why we buy it, how we fund it, and also how you can do it yourself. The next day, we had an amazing event at the QT Hotel here on the Gold Coast, where we had all of our consultants come in and teach everybody on what they're looking for with sites, what are the different trends, and how you can become a property developer yourself. Now you see me on the video, but who you're going to be getting coached by is Shannon and Carson. Who's Shannon and Carson? 4 years ago, Carson was cleaning carpets. Shannon was a machine operator. Today, they're doing over $100 million worth of land deals. I know you're listening, and I know you want to take action. And if that's you, click on the link below or go to www.unemployableproperty.com.au and register your interest, and one of our team will reach out to you, and we'll see you on the next bus. Now get out of here.
And because I got sent it several times, I thought I'll quickly look it up, and I looked it up, and boom, 3 or 4 sites came up straight away. And I went, oh my God, it's real. And then I went and made it real, and I had 100,000 views in 2 days. And then I saw Topher release a video saying this story is bullshit, and that's made by click farms who monetize what they know is going to make people angry. And I felt so stupid. And I had 2 or 3 people DM or comment saying there's no evidence of this. And I'm like, yes, there is. Here's the link. Go away, and I was so entrenched in my view. And I just didn't do any deeper research than a search. Now, a lot of people didn't even do the search to see if they're real, but I did do a search, but I didn't go deep enough. It just really pissed me off because I'm mad at myself for not going deeper, because as we talked about at the start here, in the world we're moving into, the voices you listen to really matter. And if you have a personal brand and you do have a platform and you're not checking deeply enough, you can get caught. And I got caught. So I just wanted to apologize to my followers for that. Obviously, I pulled the video down, but I got a reminder again of how fucked up it is at the moment, actually, that there are people monetizing lies and playing on people's fears. And they enrolled me unknowingly in their campaign to do that. So I think it's just a big week of, for me personally, just being reminded of these things. So that's the first thing. Anybody want to comment on that? Go ahead.
With that as well, like it also applies to facts released by the government, right? Because often the government will release a probe into the news, basically saying we're going to tax your extra bedroom or whatever that probe is, to check the temperature of things before they then come and introduce something else, right? And it's like people get really riled up about those kind of things when, we need to understand that a lot of it is temperature monitoring. And they're using the media to kind of gauge.
Talk about temperature monitoring. The government, and they're not too quick to take the temp, but was it last night they repealed or adjusted the tax inside self-managed super over $3 million and got slated pretty hard for it. So amazing. That's a temperature test they sort of fucked up on, but yeah.
Can you just provide context in case people?
So remember going back that unrealized profits over $3 million in superannuation were going to get taxed unrealized. Now they've split. Don't quote me on the numbers. They're starting to put a percentile ban up to 4 million, up to 5 million, and not on unrealized gains. So you don't have ma and pa out there having to sell the home to pay down, some value they've accreted in their investment portfolio. So some reprieve there. Still taxing, going to be putting a scale up to tax a wealth tax in the self-managed super fund. In super, I should say. But they've certainly pulled off the accelerator on how aggressive they're going to be.
Adam,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of like. I mean, you guys are getting there as well. But Adam, I kind of feel sorry for you in a way, because you actually have a following that's large enough that when you kind of put something out like this, your views have an impact because they influence a lot of people. But the majority of us really don't have that much influence. What our Auntie Joan and Uncle Frank think isn't really going to change. And so, I do think we all need to be really, really careful with the kind of stories and things that we kind of put our effort into, especially in today's day and age where it's just a frenzy.
Yeah, I think it's really a valuable lesson for everybody to learn much sooner than me, because I can tell you it's the hardest thing to go back out to 100,000 people and say, I just screwed up. But you also have to do it, because if you don't have a voice that carries any trust anymore. And once you don't have any trust, you may as well not be a voice, because you're just a laughing stock. So it's very hard, and the stakes get higher when you make these kinds of mistakes.
But I think it's sort of in and of itself is trust building when you can come cap in hand and go, hey, look, I made a mistake. I own it. And I think that
well, being vulnerable, right? Being vulnerable does that.
It does, but it is. I'm telling you now, it's hard. Like there's these little voices that go in your head going, oh, don't worry, just pull the video down and move forward. But then there's that little part that's deeper, and you're going, Adam, do the hard thing and the right thing and actually go out and apologize for it. But so I just want to say, for those of you that if you ever scale, and when you do, like here in Bali, it's quite interesting because I've started to realize the scale. Like every day, pretty much, I've been stopped in the street to say, hey, I watched the pod, or I watched your Instagram or whatever. And you realize actually you're reaching scale now. I just went and got a coffee before, got stopped again. And so as the stakes get higher, it gets harder and harder. And it's, just a quick reminder. So let's move to the big story, which was the wipeout on the weekend. This has been like a really challenging period. These pods get recorded on Tuesday morning, which is Tuesday the 14th as we record this, and they go out on Friday. So we're only like 3 days into this. And the story is that, a bunch of our clients and myself and many of my friends and family have been trading crypto very successfully with a company out of Dubai who I think are extremely solid stand-up people. And they've certainly proven themselves to be that in the last 3 days. But essentially, we had our money there. They've traded for 5 years. They've traded through what was previously called a black swan event. So when FTX collapsed, they were trading crypto futures with 10x leverage and navigated through without losses. They've traded through COVID with 10x leverage without losses. So they've traded through some really turbulent times in crypto. And then on Saturday, we had Friday night, Saturday, depending on where you are in the world, we had the largest liquidation event in the history of cryptocurrency. The news reports at the moment, they're reporting losses within an hour of around 20 billion US dollars. 1.6 million crypto traders wiped out. An unknown number of suicides have occurred on the back end of it. Several high-profile traders and influencers have actually killed themselves. It's been an absolutely devastating extinction kind of event that sort of goes beyond what I think is a black swan. A black swan usually is like a news-driven, severe downturn in valuations. Like when FTX collapsed, that news cycle, it sort of unfolded over like a few days, and it got worse and worse and worse over that time. Luna collapsing and COVID and all these things usually just take a little bit of time before you sort of go from peak to trough. Now, we're not talking a lot of time. We're not talking a general flat market. We're talking a steep decline. But this all happened like we had, $20,000 reduction in the valuation just of Bitcoin in 20 minutes. And in the aftermath, we've seen all kinds of really sketchy stuff emerge, like, traders who had stop losses didn't do anything. Traders with 1.5 to 2 times leverage, they got wiped out as well. That's hardly a super leveraged position, but there were certain whitelisted accounts that could trade right through to the very bottom of the very top. There were huge positions taken just before it collapsed and then exited right at the bottom. So there's a lot of sketchy stuff that sort of emerged. And what happened was our clients, and not all of them, but quite a few, me included, lost their entire trading account. I lost $380,000 in under an hour, and I was asleep. And the irony is I had the full amount of capital in cash in my funding account, meaning that in the event of a normal black swan event, when things start going bad, you've got, certainly a day or 2 days or a week to sort of recapitalize and protect your position. I had all that capital sitting there, but it happened like that while I was asleep, and it was gone. And it happened to a lot of people. And most of them, when people ask me, how do you feel about it? I'm not worried at all about myself, because I lost money that I can comfortably afford to lose, which is what anybody who joined that group, I said to them, do not invest a cent more than you can comfortably afford to lose. And I also said, you realize you can lose all your money doing this. I worry about the people who aren't as experienced and did position size wrong and are now in a world of pain. And they're ordinary good people that have lost quite a lot of money over the last little while. So it's been a rough period, and I can talk about other aspects of this, but maybe it's open over to you guys to sort of add any comments on that sort of general start.
I'd say let's go with Macro Mark first. He's probably the most knowledgeable when it comes to the market.
Well, I mean, I think I posted something out on the Instagram because I know that a lot of people that follow the pod follow me and were hurt by it, and I got a bunch of messages. And the first thing that I want to say to everyone is I feel you, and I've been there. It hurts. All kinds of crazy thoughts will be going through your head, and self-blame and things like that. But I can guarantee you that every single guru trader, every single legendary investor has been in your shoes and has had the market humble them, because that is just the nature of this game, and it's the nature of markets. And you'll go out and you'll do soul searching, and some of you may never ante up again and go in and invest in markets, and many of you will. And I kind of encourage everyone to ante up again, maybe not with leverage, and I'll explain why if you want me to. But I encourage everyone to kind of get out there, get educated, ante up again, and do it in a way that is complementary to your type of personality and the way that you're able to deal with and handle risk. So that's my message to everyone. And just in relation to the technical side of things, I think two of the really important things that I think this showcases with relation to crypto, because you don't have 10x and 100x leverage in regular financial markets. It's just you might get 5x leverage, you might get 20% leverage on certain stocks, you might get on regular platforms. The two things I want to point out is that crypto is still largely an unregulated industry, and being an unregulated industry, you have access to a bunch of products that you would not get access to if it was a regulated industry. So it's worth keeping that in mind. And also that the volatility on crypto is so great that you don't need leverage to be able to make a shit ton of money. It's great if you know how to use it, and you can really augment your gains, but you don't need it to make money over the long term. So, a little bit of patience there is important as well. But also that event, because in terms of drawdown, like percentage drawdowns, some of the altcoins were like down 90%, some of the shit coins. But in terms of the top 10, the drawdowns weren't necessarily bigger than what they've been in the past. But I think what that sudden event shows you is that the liquidity within the crypto market perhaps isn't as strong as many are led to believe, right? The fact that stops and everything was just wiped out so quickly shows you that the liquidity in the crypto markets isn't as great as what you're probably led to believe. And I largely think that a lot of people have moved their money out of alts. Like this cycle, so many more people are trading options, so many more people are trading AI. And so if you're not like in Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're really dabbling in no man's land in terms of liquidity out there. So, they're two of the technical things I think you just need to be careful, because, I showed you guys in that private chat that the on-chain data shows you exactly where all the pockets of liquidities are, where all the shorts are and where all the longs are. And so when these events happen, when you get a sell-off, these market makers can be quite predatory, and they can attack those zones by putting pressure on the price in either direction. And, the on-chain data kind of tells you to a T where those zones are of max pain.
And then I was listening to a pod this morning from James from Invest Answers, and he had some pretty savvy guys in there as well, and they're talking about that, again, unregulated, but likening it to that tech glitch that wiped $1 trillion off Wall Street from a data glitch, and that they were looking, not that we're going to try and solve the problem today, but just some insider intel, insider intel in short, is that a few funny things did happen with data not getting put through, stop losses being removed, and blaming it on Oracle because it supplies the data to the market makers, and it all went from, it's all manipulated, right? Is the conclusion where the smart brains are talking, and there's nothing that can be done about it. No one's going to get jailed for it. It's fraud. Yeah, and no one's going to get jailed for it. If you look at it again, it doesn't happen in the stock market. Well, it wiped off $700 billion in its own right as well. That was from also from the Trump conversation, but the crypto is
definitely happens in the stock market.
Not totally.
This kind of shit happens in the stock market as well, just not as extreme.
extreme, except for back in 2010 in 36 millions, 2010 it ripped up a trillion in 6 minutes. So
it happens. It happens everywhere. And go ahead, Mark.
The thing that I was just going to say, the thing that you've got to like take into consideration is that there's like hundreds of companies that, or probably nearly 100 companies that their stock price moves 30 billion in a day, right? In one day, just a normal day's trading, their stock price moves 30 billion. So in the grand scheme of things, 30 billion is actually not a lot of money. The sad reality is, though, that a lot of people who lost that 30 million, that's all their money, right? Because of the nature of the people that are playing in that space. That's the scary part, right? Like if 30 billion can get wiped out in a downturn like that it shows you that there's not a hell of a lot of liquidity in crypto exchanges.
I think we have to remember that in life, a lot of things are in duality, right? Like you can't have peace without war. What goes up must come down. You can't have gains without losses. And we forget, right? When there's bull markets, we tend to forget when the bear markets come, or when these dramatic losses come, and they do come, and none of us will know when it comes again, right? But this is
within the next 12 months, Eric.
Yeah, well, but like this is when people get to really know themselves, right? Know themselves and the tolerance that you have, and who you are as an investor. None of us want to lose money, right? But in the game of investing, again, it's all in duality. I've made a lot of money. I've lost money. Everyone on this call has made a lot of money and lost money. But I think this is a good time for people to look within and look into it and going, what are the lessons that I can take out of something like this, right? Like Bitcoin dropped by 20,000, right? If you have conviction on Bitcoin, did you buy? Did you not buy? Why didn't you buy, right? What are the excuses? What are the stories that you're telling you in your head? What are the stories that you're telling you in your head now, right? Are you living above the line or are you living below the line, right? Are you going to sit there and blame and not take responsibility? Or are you going to live above the line and go, you know what, I'm going to take some accountability on this because it was, my decision to invest in this or not to invest in this. And these are lessons in life, right? And this is how we all have to look at these things. And like you said, Mark, there's going to be people that won't ante up ever again. And then there will be people that will ante up and take this as a lesson. And I guess you got to just look in the mirror, and it'll take some time for some people to realize which side or which are you above or below the line, really.
One of the things that struck me was that a few things from the communications, a vast majority of our community, despite absolute loss, were amazingly reasonable and lived above the line. It was incredible. But also it revealed that quite a few people really didn't know what they were investing in. They didn't understand that there was leverage. They just thought they put their money in its guaranteed return. And that's it. They just didn't really understand. But I think the two big lessons for me, one is it does reveal like the problem with leverage, right? Like, so I own Bitcoin unleveraged, right? Like I don't borrow. So it's like if you own real estate, if you own it outright and the market turns against you or the interest rates go up, it doesn't matter if you've got no leverage, you can just hold on. But it's when you've got debt, if interest rates go up, you can get in trouble. Right? If markets turn down, you can get in trouble because you get margin call on property as well. So leverage is really the killer. And secondly, I think it's just when I wrote to everybody yesterday, I interviewed Lisa and Mark at ARWP, the trading firm in Dubai. I mean, they lost a good majority of what they built over many years, doing an amazing job in one day, right? But when I wrote to everybody, I said, I think what it comes down to is that, as Mark said, these are unregulated markets and everybody got robbed. That like it was not a market-driven thing. This was actually manipulation and fraud. And the fact that nobody will go to jail over this means that it's probably going to happen again. Because if they just got away, if they planned this and executed this and got the money and they didn't get caught, well, of course they're going to come back and try it again. If you're evil enough to do it the first time and you get away with it, you're going to be evil enough to do it the second time, right? And so really what you're making a bet on, if you go back with the same strategy with leverage into that, you're saying, well, look, I want to get my money back, and Mark and Lisa are going to trade people's money who want to stay without any fees. It was a 50-50 profit split between us and them, performance only, no retainers, all that stuff. They're going to give you 100% of profit, trade your account for free until they recover your funds, which is about as good as you can get from a financial services business of any kind. But if you go back, you're basically making the bet that you're going to be able to recover your funds. There aren't going to be any more seismic events. They're not going to lose, and the robbers are not going to return before then. Just know that's fundamentally the bet that you're making, and then you have to make your choice on whether you go back or not. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and I just want to recognize those people who lost money, and I feel your pain. I know exactly how hard it is to get money to invest in the first place, let alone tax-free, tax-paid dollars that you've got to invest. And think carefully about what you do next. Yeah. So moving on from that, what I want to talk about quickly is talking about, like, you have to still take action and in life. And one thing that I saw this week, which was an interesting story, about 6 months ago, I don't know if you remember this, guys, I talked about how I saw Andrew Wilkinson on the My First Million podcast. And Andrew is a billionaire from Canada, a really nice guy. And he talked about a little Aussie company called Iron. They're not that little, but they're a Bitcoin mining company founded by 2 Australians. And they were doing really well as Bitcoin miners. And Andrew Wilkinson said, I just invested $1 million in them because I think what's going to happen with some of these Bitcoin mining companies, they've got large infrastructure, land, computers. And I think what's going to happen as AI continues to advance, they're going to become more profitable when they start lending that compute to AI as opposed to mining Bitcoin. And they were already profitable. And if they do that, I can see they'll do a 10 or even a 20x. This was 6 months ago, and I mentioned it on the pod, and I mentioned the stock on the pod, and I didn't buy the stock, right? So I found it, I shared it, and then I saw a reel this week, and I was like, somebody was talking about Iron. I thought, oh, Iron, I wonder how that went since Andrew gave everybody that stock tip. And they've gone up like 1,100% in 6 months. And what made me laugh was exactly what Mark spoke about last week on the pod, when we were talking about adjacent opportunities to the mega trend. So the mega trend being AI, who are going to be the beneficiaries of AI. And lo and behold, one of them is Iron I think they're out of Sydney. And these Aussie, I think they're brothers. I met them at the Bitcoin event a year and a half ago in Australia. So it just shows you guys, sometimes listening and acting on these things, even in a small way, is good. And Mark, I want to thank you, because just before the pod, about an hour ago, I just made an investment into a rare earth company out of Australia because of what you were talking about, the importance of it, and there's a particular narrative and so on. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. I yesterday I invested. I mean, it's so, like, I've realized that when I take too long to do research, I miss the train. So I've been doing research on rare earth companies, and yesterday I just took $5,000 and invested $5,000 in 10 different companies. And today one of them was up like 70%. I'm like, oh, I wish I invested more in that one, but that was obviously the squirrely small cap one, right? So I've invested $5,000 in 10 different rare earth companies, and I'm up like 15% or something. So you got to take action. But on the Iron story, I've got a potential. I got a potential next chapter to that story. So there's a bunch of different Bitcoin miners that have turned now AI kind of infrastructure plays, right? You got Wolf, Cypher, CleanSpark, Mara, Riot, and all that. But there's another one, a lesser known one, that's called Core Scientific, and I've got a position on it. Just full disclaimer, I've got a position on it, and at the moment it currently has more gigawatt energy space than even Iron, but Core offered to buy it, and so the stock has kind of gone sideways while Iron and Wolf and Cypher and all these other ones have been going crazy. And now on October 30th, the shareholders are going to vote on whether they want that all stock offer to go through. But because CoreWeave has gone down in value lately and all the other miners have been ripping up, that offer is now severely undervalued, and Core Scientific could get a shit ton more value from other purchasers, or if they just went alone and kept acquiring new space like Iron, they could potentially be another Iron. But it all comes down to this vote on October 30 on whether the deal's going to go ahead or not. So it's up to the shareholders. So I've speculatively taken a position, but it could be the next Iron. So we'll see.
Did you apply leverage with that, Mark? No stop loss?
I've actually bought call options. So yes, they're leveraged. It's
mitigated risk,
defined loss. The premium
Correct.
is all I can lose. And they're January expiry, so they're not too far away, but we'll see what happens. Not a recommendation to buy, but just maybe an example of how, you can go out there and you can hear these things on podcasts, and then you can do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and maybe see things that others aren't seeing. But there's so much opportunity in this space at the moment. And I just want to say that, the initial reason for the crypto sell-off and the equity sell-off was the trade war between China and America that's heating up. And you've got China that it's basically saying we're going to embargo all rare earths. We're not going to let them out. We're not going to refine anybody's rare earths. And you've got America saying we're going to up the tariffs on China and not give you chips. And I genuinely believe there's going to be a deal. And 70 to 80% of poly market thinks there's going to be a deal, but there is a chance that there is not going to be a deal, and that could create real problems for the equity market and the AI boom, because you can't build the AI build out without rare earths, right? So I think it's like a messy divorce. There has to be some sort of agreement, but there is an opportunity. There is a chance that there won't be an agreement. So we're in for a choppy next couple of weeks until Xi and Trump meet in Korea, I think it is.
I think, Mark, what you said there, just to recap, did you say you invested 5,000 in 10 different companies? So 50 grand, 5, or 5,000?
Yeah, that's
okay. Yeah. So, but again, like if, and this is the thing, right? If that 5 grand, 10 times as an example, it's 50 grand. If 100 times, it's 500 grand. You're not going and investing $500,000 in each one and gambling that way as well, right?
Well,
and this is the thing.
Well, I did that with Metaplanet, Eric. I invested 400 grand US in Metaplanet, and I'm down 55%. So I do that as well.
Yeah, and again, like, it's not going to be life-changing money, right? Even if it's 1,000 times for you, right, with your kind of net worth, but it's all relative. It's all within reason, And this is where I think people got to look at themselves and, like, what tolerance do you have for losing money? Like, I have friends, I shouldn't say friends, acquaintances, right, that will go to the casino, that gamble, right? They're proper gamblers, and they will lose 50 grand in one night. Like, I would not be able to live with myself and sleep knowing that I've lost 50 grand, but I know that I would never do that. Right. But will I go and gamble 50 grand buying Bitcoin, or, going and buying property deals and these types of things? Yes, I will. But that's because I know who I am and I know who I'm not when it comes to the tolerance of how I invest money and how I lose it,
Yeah. And Eric, it takes time to learn that, right? Like, it takes years and years and years to kind of learn that and to keep getting kicked in the butt and smacked in the teeth to kind of, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that over and over again, right? Like, and this is why I've said in the past that investing and trading is the greatest self-improvement tool that you can ever find, because you're like having kids, getting married, having friends, starting a business. Like, majority of the people care about you in these spaces. In the markets, no one gives a damn about you. So you will get instant feedback and truthful feedback 100% of the time on your decisions.
I got one question. Does anyone have any speculation on who's the one that won that made the 182 million or whatever it was?
Was it Barron Trump? Hey, Dad, hit the tweet now. Okay, got it. The short time, go.
I was about to say, it has to be. I've been in a few rabbit holes on some forums, and it's like it's got Trump written all over somewhere, surely.
Jokes aside, like, people are saying, the government will regulate now, and I'm like, What if it's the government doing it? Because they're all just...
You can't wait for the government.
Mate, Nancy Pelosi might have turned out to be an amateur compared to what Trumpy's doing in the background. Who knows? Like, you honestly don't know, like, which way the dick's coming from, but you know it's coming from somewhere. You're on the bad end of it.
I watched a documentary that we had this morning, specifically on the millions that Trump's making, and they had the left and the right talking about, and it was that guy's absolutely cleaning up this second turn in his presidency. So
the generational wealth that will carry that
for
Trump
the family
on, the generational wealth that'll be created for the Trump name to carry on for generations out of this second presidency is going to be absolutely enormous. It's very interesting. I also just want to do a shout out here, guys. We did get feedback last week that you guys did enjoy this kind of more positive banter. Like we realized that, like the last few, we sort of got quite a dark down the anti-Aussie rabbit hole, and the whole world's ending. And we're sort of trying to make a more conscious effort to talk about things that are happening that are positive. And so we appreciate the feedback, and we are going to try and make sure that we do keep a good balance on both.
Duality, right? Duality.
Yeah. I saw a post from you, Mark, on the weekend, it wasn't even a post. It was just in your story. And I was just flicking through, and it was one there that I think is just a really salient, timely point, which was happy in my own lane. And it was just a photo of you somewhere. I can't remember what it was.
At the gym.
But you were just at the gym. Was you happy in my own lane?
In my own lane.
Yeah, and I think that's something that all people can benefit from. Is really times like this when you get shaken up, cause you to go, what is my own lane? And I've been doing that a lot lately, not on monetary side, but like in just restructuring my life. Like I built this life that everybody else wanted, which was the beachfront apartment and the Porsche Targa and all of the fancy stuff, right? I was like, look, I got it, look where I ended up. And then I realized I ended up in a place that I'm not in my own lane. And since coming to Bali just recently, usually when I come to Bali, I'm here for charity work, and I've done it for 12 years, and I usually meet people in Sanua, get on the bus, spend 3 days over in Java, which is pretty rough, and then on the way back, I'll spend 2 or 3 days in a quiet 5-star boutique or a hotel or the W or something, and then I leave, and that's been my experience of Bali, mostly. This time I've come here and really gotten into just life here, and I've been going out and I've been meeting people sorry, it's a little glitch there. Yeah, and I found a lot of joy in just being on a scooter, and I went to church on Sunday, and I went and saw a spiritual healer yesterday. Are you guys there? Yep. And so, just finding my own lane in life, not just in investing, but in what is my actual lane? What and I think it's just something interesting for people to sort of to play with. And these times are good for doing that and being open. And, as I said, for the first time in 30 years on Sunday afternoon, I was at a Pentecostal church standing there seeing if I felt anything there. And then the next day I was with a holy man that treats and deals with Stephen Bartlett and has been his holy guy for years. So it's really interesting time.
Adam, it's funny, right? Because in a way the movies like Eat, Pray, Love are so cliche, but there's also, when you strip away the Hollywood from those movies, there's also so much to be gained and gleaned from going through a process like that. And you don't have to go to different countries to do it. But, for me, I think one of the best, Dom and I kind of made a decision not to go on any overseas holidays for the last 2 or 3 years to just kind of get settled and find our lane. But for me personally, and I think I've said this a number of times, one of the things that has helped me find my lane is these Friday sessions with you boys and the pods previously, and just kind of talking and hearing other people's perspective and having other shoulders and other ears to kind of listen out for you. That's honestly one of the things that's helped me find, my lane. And I'm sure I'll drift off path more often than not, but I think connecting with people that can
Yeah, me too. I enjoy these immensely because oftentimes in business, I work from home a lot. I've got a remote, mostly remote team and whatnot. To check in once a week with just 3 other dudes and shoot the shit, and not necessarily all the times the topics that tickle my fancy, like when it comes to super political stuff. But it's great just to just get out of your own mindset for a minute, or at least an hour and a half a week, and catch up.
I think it's also like I've been talking to Jen a lot, my wife, right? Just about what do we want to do? Where do we want to be? Right? What do we want our life to look like? And we're so accustomed to just doing the same thing that everybody else does, right? Go hustle, buy property, buy nice cars, buy nice things, and just keep doing that over and over again. And then the nice things just get more expensive and they get nicer. But it's like, when you buy a car, the first time you buy a brand new car, it's like for the first month, it is the best feeling. And then after a while, it's just, you just feel like you're just getting into a car. And we just get accustomed to, doing the same thing as everybody else. Right. And Jen always reminds me, she's like, why are we doing what we're doing? Because we're just told to do it that way, because our friends are doing that, because other people that we look up to are doing that. Why aren't we doing things differently? Right. Like, and one of those things, and I'm saying it live, and I've been saying it more and more, is we're moving overseas for a year. We're going to live a year abroad. We're going to take the kids out of school, and we're just going to do it. And people are going to be going, oh my God, that's crazy. Your kid. And our kids are kind of like, well, mom, dad, but my friends and soccer and it, you know what I mean? But they're going to have an amazing experience, and we will make it work, and we will make it happen. But it's taken me a long time to even be comfortable with even saying it, because it's like, but that's not what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to keep busy, work hard, because the European mentality is like, you're not successful unless you're very busy. Doesn't matter the monetization side. It's just be busy. If you're not working your 8 to 10 hours a day, you're not doing the wrong. You're doing the wrong thing. And it's these podcasts, and like I look at Mark and the way he lives, and when I went to spend the weekend with Mark, and it's very cruisy and a little bit more nonchalant. And I see you, like, what do you mean you're going for a swim at 8 a.m. Mark? You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be in front of your computer working, because this is what we're trained to do. And it's these discussions, and obviously having a wife that thinks a little bit differently than others, that puts me in these positions of empowerment, really, because I'm empowering myself to think differently.
I went to this might be a bit warm and fuzzy for people, but I just want to share this because I went to this holy man here, and I went to the church, and it didn't really resonate with me. I went and I was completely open, and I was like, if I'm meant to be back in a church, I want to feel something, and I want it to be real. And I stood, and they had the lights and the music and the emotional stuff, and people had their hands in the air, and I didn't feel anything at all throughout the whole 2-hour service. But I could see other people were. It was their thing. Like, they loved it. I didn't feel anything. The next day I went to this holy man, and I came away, I did it with my best friend, Rick, not my best friend, one of my best friends, Rick, and I came away and I felt better. I didn't have any profound moments where I'm like, oh my God, this guy is one of those mediums but I felt good, and I would go back and have another session. But he did this one thing where he held like this flower, which was like a frangipani, and he held it in front of us, and he grabbed the petals up like this, and he held it, and he said, this is what you are when you live your life from your head. And he's holding the top, and when you think from here, and when you let go of your head, and then the flowers just sprung open, you live from your heart, you start to feel, that's when you as a human blossom. And like, when I've been looking at Bali, for me, it's not for everybody. Some people hate Bali with a passion. But for me, when I walk out the door and I jump on a scooter, it's an adventure to go to dinner. Even the traffic, it feels like I'm in an adult's fairyland. It's just crazy, the feeling. And there's this openness and there's this warmth. And you go to a restaurant and the staff are just beautiful and genuinely happy and warm. And then when I went and looked at this house that, fingers crossed, we've got heads of agreement, basically we've agreed on price. It's really a different mindset. Like I realized when I walked through the gate, I felt, as soon as I pulled up to the property, I could feel amazing. And I walked through the door and it's very private. Nobody can see in. And the guy who built it's been here for 27 years, an Australian designer. And he's put so much love into this home. You can see the pride in every single detail. It's not like a mass-produced discount villa. This is a guy who has created a very, very sacred, special, beautiful, it's almost like a work of art when you're there. And in the end, we negotiated and I ended up paying him absolute top dollar for the property because I said to my people like, oh, but it's only a lease. And I'm like, dude, I'm on a lease. I'm a fucking human. I'm going to be dead in 40 years. I'm on a lease, right? Like, if I spend 15 years of my life there and it costs me $1 million to buy a house that I have to give back, and that's not the metrics because there's an extension on the lease and different things. But to me, I'm like, okay, well, if I divide that up by 15 years, I paid 80 grand a year. And for me, that's totally fine to do. But I had 14 amazing years living in a place that made me feel incredible every day. Right? Rather than living in a place where as soon as I walk out the door, I feel road rage and aggression and angst and everybody looking at each other, comparing. Whereas here, I've had dinner with guys with $100 million worth of real estate that get on the same shitbox scooter that I rode up on. Nobody's wearing a Rolex. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody's just chilling. They're wearing flip-flops to dinner. And I'm like, I feel totally alive. And it's sort of like makes you reassess things. And you're talking about spending, if you spend 1.5 million in Bali, you're going to get an unbelievable place here, right? Like I'm talking rock star place, and you're going to have some staff and everything else. But I guess all I'm saying is I just want to encourage people that when you travel, there'll be certain places in the world that will fill you at your heart, and you'll just go, oh my God, like south of France is a place like that. Bali is a place like that. For me, I wake up happy. I just feel spiritually in sync with the place. And at some point, you've got to start quantifying and valuing the soft parts of our existence. It's not all just math, right? Like, yeah. So it's anyway, I just wanted to share that little story.
I think we go through seasons, right? Like the different stages in life, right? Like when you want to buy the new car, you want to buy the new house, or you want to buy the Rolex watch and do these types of things, right? Like we went to Hellenica on the weekend, which is at the Carlisle Hotel in Brisbane. And we went for lunch because we had to go to do some business in Brisbane. So Jen and I and the kids go to Hellenica. It's one of our favorite restaurants. And when I'm there, I love it. One, the food is amazing, but two, the people watching is next level, right? But everyone, right, is done to the nines. Everyone's got their best watch on, their newest, Gucci or Christian Louboutin shoes. Everyone's dialed in, right? And I was sitting there, jacked, chest out, like Adam was a few weeks ago. And, we were.
I'm all natural, baby. There's no steroids. I know nobody believes that.
Right. So we're sitting there, and I just had a thought, and I was just like, everyone is here posing their hardest to get everyone else's attention, right? To impress people that they don't like with things that they don't need, with money that they don't have. Like that is right. That is like what we all fall into.
And you were there feeding the ducks, Eric.
Right? And
you were there feeding the ducks.
Right? We all
playing the dart,
right? But we all fall into it, though, right?
Says the guy rocks up in a G-Wagon.
But I'm being honest, right?
It's just been fucking Drake shopping for his luxury home mansion on Main fucking river with a cold plunge in the fucking hotspot.
Right? Yeah, but there's seasons, right? There's seasons and stages in life, right?
There is,
and I can see that even myself now, like the house. Like I'm very excited about the house, but I'm very excited at the same time to sell the house in a weird way, right? Like it's I've been seeing more and more. Like I look at Mark, and and I'll use Mark as an example again. Is like I'm like, I feel like this guy's got a level of freedom that I don't have. Right? Like the way he like just very natural, like walk to the beach, just hanging out, with Frankie in the little like that video of you with Frankie in the blow up pool in the back with your Crocodile Dundee hat on, and you guys just looking at each other. Like that's life. Like to me, that's goals, right? Like that is
100%.
You cannot take that away. No amount of money can take that away, right? And things are good, right? Buying things, making you feel good, but it's those little things, right? And if you have nothing to compare it to, you just keep doing the same thing. Like I like Europe for me is similar to probably what the feeling that Adam gets in Bali on the scooter. It's a similar type of thing when you're in Italy. They're on a scooter, they're cruising around. Like it's just you're going to the cafe. Like it's not as showy. It's not as like look at me, and everyone trying to compete each other for the biggest house on the block. And I've got, you know what I mean, this plunge, and I got this fucking red light bed, and I've got, you know what I mean, like all these things. We just fill ourselves up with things. And
Eric,
it's just getting very, very clear. Getting very, very clear on that is important, mate.
Eric, it's funny, right? Like, because like no one's sitting here saying that you shouldn't go on a holiday. Like next year, we're gonna go to Europe for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, and we're gonna spend hopefully a week or two with you guys wherever we're in. And like for the first time in so long, I'm looking forward to a holiday. I don't reckon I looked forward to a holiday since 2019. All my holidays since 2019, up until the last day, I wasn't thinking about the holiday. I was thinking about work or e-commerce sales or the trades or whatever. And it's like now I'm kind of like feeling like I was feeling 5-10 years ago, where you kind of look forward to a holiday again. And so a holiday is good, but it's like the holidays that I went on in the last few years, I reckon I missed them because my head wasn't even there. You know what I mean? My head wasn't even on the holidays. My head was elsewhere. I spent a month in America with Dom's family, and I was doing other things and trading and looking at the business. It's like, it's cliche again, but you kind of want to create a life that you don't need a holiday from. So then you can appreciate the things, or going on that holiday, you can appreciate those things a little bit more. But when you're always trying to like get more, there's seasons when you have to be in that mode, but it also spoils the fulfillment of it all.
And Mark, I don't want this to be a shit on Australia thing at all, but I think this is why a lot of Australians are leaving, is because they just need a break. They need to put themselves in an environment where they can lower the pressure that's on families, like coming here, the house I'm looking at, let's say it's a little under $1.5 million. And that's like when you tell people here, I'm looking at a place for 1.3 or 4 million, whatever. They're like, holy shit, bro, must be a fucking mansion. Like, that's what they say to you. Like, so the whole game gets reset. Plus you're in a more effective tax setup, and the pressure that just comes off people's shoulders when like you can get on your bike and like you can just ride, and the bike costs you a fancy bike. If you want a G-Wagon, a bike, it's like $5,000 is as hard as you can go. Right? That's the pimp and fucking showy guys, right? Everyone else is on $1,000 or $2,000 shitter, and like dinner, you got to work hard to spend $200 for drinks, the premium steak, rock star place for 2 people. Like that's everything, cocktails, the steaks, the whole lot. And so when you sort of just move into that like environment where the values are different, the pressure's lower, you just you start to feel so different as a person. You just feel, and I think Australians, and again, it's not to shit on Australia, it's just that I just want to recognize, because I know it now looking back, is that frog theory have just been slowly cooked, where it's just like bills and fines and taxes and home prices and food prices and insurance costs, and and it's just freaking intense. And so yeah, there's just a lot to be said. And I think when you get to 50, it organically happens, where you just start to go, you know what, I don't need any of this shit. I just want a fucking peace. I just want to peace. I sat on the beach, I ordered a fucking coconut, I put it on Instagram the other day, I said, I worked for 30 fucking years, and now I am here in Bali with a coconut, and this is all I fucking want, is a coconut and some peace.
Adam, people think that if they make enough money, that they'll be free of that stress and that pressure. And like, I feel like I'm comfortable, but I still get that feeling that you just described every time I go back to Melbourne, and I can't shake it, and I can't joyfully, even though my family's there, I can't really joyfully want to be there for more than a week or so, because that feeling is there, and it's embedded in the culture in a certain way, right? And not even all the money in the world. That's why you're hearing of so many people with tons of money that are leaving as well, because it's just the point. It's just the culture that's gotten that way. It's gotten a little bit stale.
Yeah, well, I just think go ahead, James. Sorry.
I did 10 fantastic years in Bondi. I had the time of my life, but the thought of going back now, even for a week to Sydney, I've been back for years. I just don't want to go. It's just too much.
Well, but you also know it's a lot of people. But like when a mate asks you out for drinks down at the Golden Staff, you're not getting out of there for under $150 without any food. Right.
Keep going. I said to Eric on Sunday, I should quickly call him, and Sunday. So I said, you went to Hellenica, how was the food? Yeah, it's great, love it. And I thought, dining is one of my favorite sports. I said, did you get wallet rate? What's it like down at Hellenica now? He's, Eric doesn't drink. Kids obviously don't drink. Well, hopefully. And Jen had like 1 or 2 drinks. What is that? It's $350, $380. I'm like,
$350, including the Sunday surcharge, the GST.
Like, that's no problem.
The kids get the watermelons, $18 watermelon cooler, mocktail. It's just you pay for it here, and there's a point where you're willing to pay for things and be happy. And there's but let's and you walk with a smile, right? And you walk out with a smile on your face, upright. And then there's other times where that you're paying for it, and you're walking with a smile on your face, bent over with a smile on your face, walking out and
limping,
right? And you know what? Like, the limping is starting to be a real thing, because some of these restaurants and stuff, like, I don't know. A friend of mine's in Dubai at the moment, a good friend who we're meeting, and he goes, man, you have no idea what you're walking into in Dubai. He goes, food here. He goes, I cannot find a coffee for less than $12 AUD.
Yeah, exactly.
12 Dubai's the worst.
He goes, you want a Coca-Cola?
France, Dubai, they're worse.
$12 to $15 for a Coca-Cola. He's like, I am spending for my wife and I and his daughter, and I'm keeping an eye on things. We're not just going stupid. $700 to $800 a day is what it's costing them in food. And he's like, I'm not going to top beach clubs and this and that. He goes, it actually makes Australia feel cheap.
Yeah, food, I was at the W in Dubai, and I needed some sunscreen, and we went to the little hotel shop and got a bottle of sunscreen, and there was $200 Australian for a bottle. You should
have asked for a little jar of lube too at the same time.
Luckily,
no. You got to pay. You got to pay for that one as well. That's $50
for the lube.
Sunscreen? We don't need sunscreen. Tax.
But he goes.
Next day, just a picture red. Just forget the sunscreen.
But he says, I've been taking Ubers every day. Well, not Uber. There's an app there called Kareem, I think it is Kareem, which is like half the price of Uber's, but still good quality. But he's like, Eric, I'm telling you, I'm getting 9, 10 Ubers a day. No car. I'm traveling all the way around this and that. It's not even costing me $150 for the day to travel around multiple Uber. He goes, that's cost effective. If that was in Australia, it'd be double, if not triple the price. So there's certain things in different areas, right?
Well, guys, we're going to have to wind it up, but I think, you know, just closing that off, you know, for those of you listening out there, you know, like, I hope you're finding value in just, we're trying to just talk as men, you know, and what we're all dealing with. The pod that came out on Tuesday, as you listen to this on Friday, the Tuesday pod is with Matt Cameron. And I think there's a lot of good stuff in that pod. If you guys, I don't know if you guys have listened to it because it's only just come out this morning as we record this, but I asked Matt about, you know, like modern life as a man, because he's a super masculine dude. And there's some really good content in there. And I know a lot of our audience are men. Just know you're not alone out there. You know, when things are tough, like they have been over the last week, if you're invested with the crypto trading stuff, or you're finding it really, really tough. I had a meeting this morning with an Aussie entrepreneur here in Bali who's just been struggling and trying. And, you know, it is tough out there, but, you know, that's normal. Keep learning, keep listening, get good men around you, or good women if you're, if that's your thing, if you're a woman or whatever.
Just get good humans. Just get good humans.
Screw that one up, eh?
Unless you're a Kiwi.
Hold on. To Adam's 100,000 followers, okay? Let's repeat that back again.
Let's just pull flour.
I'm too much in my heart, not off my head. But you get the point, right? So get good people around you, right? And just you know, get good people around you, stay positive. So with that said, guys, let's wind this one up. We are at the top of the hour. I hope you found some value in it. It was not that super business focused today, guys, but I think because we're all just a little bit, you know, flat after the weekend. We're all dealing with shit in our own lives and businesses. Personally, not all of it we shared here. Like, we've all got growing companies. We've all got challenges with them happening. Some of it we'll unpack in the coming weeks. But that's life, you know, and that, you know, some weeks we're all high and bubbly. Other weeks we're just sitting there and need to shoot the shit as mates. And you just experienced one of those. So hopefully you find it valuable. I hope you found it real. And we'll see you next week on the Friday sessions. Bye for now.
Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.